Yes, it's not actually very often that I get to sit next to you, Peter. Normally I'm having long-distance conversations with you. You're right up at the top of the stands doing the commentary. I mean, I came into this game very, very recently, but you've been doing it longer than Grandstand.
Yeah, well, I've never been interviewed by a beautiful girl before. That's another big change.
Well, I'm sure Sue can come in as well and take over from me, because I don't think I really live up to that description. But anyway, you've thrown me now a little bit. How much has it changed over the years? Because I would imagine, to start with, the monitors, the TV screens alongside, didn't really help you very much.
Well, of course, it was black and white in 1958 when Grandstand was introduced. And it was either black or it was white. I mean, they weren't a great help, frankly. And that was one of the big changes. But BBC had been broadcasting for 10 years, you know, before that. And I suppose one of the big changes was it suddenly becoming very frenetic, because you had to stop talking all of a sudden because a new sport was being introduced into the program. Whereas previously, I remember in 1954, for instance, I went to Milan to commentate a trotting race. And on that day, it was a Sunday, the first program was 11 to 11:45, was the religious service from Winchester Cathedral. Then it was closed down until 2:30 to 3:10, this trotting race in Milan. And then it was closed down until 5 o'clock children's hour. It was all, you know, very, very slow and very different to the frenetic atmosphere of Grandstand.
But I would imagine, though, being part of Grandstand meant that your voice was then being heard by football fans, cricket fans, rugby fans. You became you had a much broader celebrity.
Well, that was purely incidental. One wasn't aware of that fact. You were just doing your job, honestly. But you were doing it probably under a little bit more pressure, a little bit more strenuous circumstances, with the excellent Brian Cargill directing and giving instructions in, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, not in a particularly calm voice, but he was fairly excitable.
Now, you retired, your last commentary was the Hennessy at Newbury last year, and most people will be wondering what you've been up to since. Plenty of dinners and lunches, I know that.
Yeah, well, I've been very spoilt, Clare, unjustifiably so, I'm sure. But I've also raced a lot, and I'm continuing to race a lot, and enjoying it enormously, because I get all the adrenaline without the anxiety.
Actually, quite recently I was driving back from Goodwood, and there was the most dreadful traffic jam on the A3, and I looked across and saw you in your very smart car, looking calm as anything, and I'm sure underneath you were going, come on, this traffic's dreadful. And I think it was rather the same when you were commentating. Always sounded as if everything was absolutely perfect. The feet were paddling underneath. Wonderful, the voice of racing, and rightly so.
Well, I felt, frankly, when Grandstand was introduced, that racing was, although initially it was the linchpin of Grandstand, that it was becoming a filler, because I didn't think we got enough time to build up racing. And I think it's absolutely essential that there should be a little preliminary, a little foreplay, if that's an appropriate word. I think just seeing horses go into the stalls and not being told anything about them beforehand is fairly disastrous. And I'm always hoping that just a little bit more time will be devoted to the preliminaries.
Well, we're certainly trying to do that still these days. Thanks, Peter.